Greetings and welcome to episode 136 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander. I'm joined this week by Keith Robinson and Russell Lyden.
Hey.
Getting into the Christmas spirit with a Christmas mug.
It's my skiing mug.
It's a skiing mug. Turn around. There's something on the other side. Ooh, that looks cozy.
Yeah.
Also looks a bit like that place in that one Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie. Avalanche.
I mean,
I do enjoy that
watch
stuff.
that just to prep for the new 8 films coming out.
Yeah, it's such a fucking time thing though. Like to pledge to rewatch that because all the episodes are obviously an hour and a half long. It's like, oh god, when do I have the time?
I never showed you the trailer for that. They've got it. They're doing it all of them back to back to break their spirits finally.
Yeah. Well, all the episodes come out all at once, don't they?
Yeah.
You can get away with that. Could you imagine trying to watch it all back to back though?
They've actually got some sort of stream going for that. There's what's the whole thing when it from it starts off. They're calling it the Gauntlet.
No, thank you. I'd like to keep what's left of my sanity intact. Thank you very much. I have to spend too much of it doing this podcast and Twitter and stuff. It's fine
Twitter?
This week.
What's Twitter?
A nightmare gauntlet. But it's fine this week. Should we jump in?
Yeah,
Is everyone cool? I didn't ask if everyone was okay. Is everyone okay?
I'm disappointed in this hood. I was trying to do some sort of Palpatine reference.
I completed the game, so yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. I'm sorry, that sounded really sarcastic.
Yeah.
Yay!
I'm
been a while.
still playing Pathfinder.
And again, the endless game that is Pathfinder. Let's talk about video game news, though. Sony is skipping E3 2019. This comes from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, who writes, Sony is skipping next year's E3, ditching its traditional press booth and press conference in a move that will have a significant negative impact on the video game industry's annual trade show. We'll see. The Entertainment Software Association, the lobbyist group that runs E3, confirmed the news today in a press release. Quote, as the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community, said Sony in a statement. PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate, think differently, and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and can't wait to share our plans with you. End quote. This is yet another blow to the annual Los Angeles trade show, which has seen multiple publishers drop out over the past few years. Electronic Arts now holds its own event in Hollywood in the days leading up to E3, while last year Microsoft rented out a theater at LA Live a few minutes away from the convention center where E3 takes place. Nintendo has spent the past 5 years eschewing traditional press conferences in favor of pre-recorded videos, and with Sony gone, one of E3's other marquee press conferences will now also not be present at 2019. Sony also typically occupies a massive chunk of one of the convention center's 2 main halls, so the company's absence will leave a significant hole for the ESA to fill. Thoughts? This just happened.
Yeah, it seems to be a trend actually, because what did they do? They cancelled the PSX, whatever it was called. Yeah, they cancelled that, which I'm sure people were like, oh, I wanted to see that. And now they've gone forward and gone, yeah, we're not going to be there at E3 either.
And we're not going to be E3 either, suckers.
And everyone's going to be like, well, where are you going to be? Because when and where are you going to be? Because
when and where will we see you next?
Probably they'll do what's Nintendo do again with their videos? Their
Direct.
Yeah, they'll do a PS Direct.
PlayStation Direct.
Imagine
well, I mean, they do have a habit of copying all of the things that Nintendo do, so we're probably about you.
Finally, then, yeah,
Thoughts, Keith?
Well, we were discussing this right before the podcast, so
that's why I changed the discussion topic very quickly before the podcast. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking, I could reiterate what Amy said right before the podcast to look really knowledgeable, or I could leave Amy to say it herself.
Oh no, now I've got to remember what I said like 10 minutes ago. Shit, this isn't going to end well. Dead air. Pressure.
You're talking about how, the missing PSX and then E3 because they're not focusing so much on the PS4 anymore. They've got long development times for the games that they've got at the moment, and then it'll be all PS5.
I'm pretty sure. Did I say that? Wow, I'm really smart. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I'm right. Past me's right. The games that they will be showing, the games that they will be showing are would be like Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us Part 2, which we saw
many times
this year
and
last year.
Yeah.
So basically, got nothing to show.
Oh, they've got plenty to show. The problem is, it's kind of like, well, but we've seen it, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. It's the same thing, doesn't it?
And like in terms of just their first party stuff, it's like they're not going to announce anything new and major and drastic because there's a PS5 coming, like probably in like 2 years' time. So they don't want to be like, hey, we're gonna make this super massive AAA game that's not going to be on PS4, like at a show that would still be about PS4. Like, it does confirm to me that the PS5 is definitely not coming out next year. I feel like at this point,
they would
because
cancelled that.
Otherwise,
E3,
they would
right?
definitely be at E3 next year.
It would make absolutely no sense for them not to turn up if they were releasing a new console next year.
Exactly. I'm interested in them exploring the new and familiar ways to engage their community in 2019. Because
streaming sites.
I mean, what are they actually going to do? Because they're still going to need to talk to their fans. And if there's no PSX this year and there's no E3 next year, and there could potentially be no PSX next year, that's obviously wild.
Maybe they're going to start their own streaming service, like Mixer and that sort of stuff. Unless they've got something like that, and I'm unaware of it.
No, they don't.
Well, there you go. Maybe they're going to start something new and hence broadcast over their own system.
And only over their own system. At times that suit them perfectly. I mean, we talked about this in terms of Microsoft, Sony's. In terms of Sony's first parties. I'm getting ahead of myself. But, I mean, in terms of, like, potential, like, blowback ramifications and how this could, like, blow up in their faces, I'm going to read the second news story of this podcast, which is Nintendo and Microsoft confirm E3 attendance in wake of PlayStation no-show. And this is from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer, who says, Microsoft and Nintendo will both be at next year's E3, and they want you to know about it. Both companies have moved to express their support of the games industry's annual extravaganza following Sony's unprecedented announcement last night PlayStation would skip the show for the first time in E3's 24-year history. Writing on Twitter as word of PlayStation's decision reverberated around the internet, Xbox chief Phil Spencer said Microsoft would have a lot to share at the event next year. Xbox's social media also made it clear the company would attend, tweeting, "We can't wait to see you all at E3 2019.
Well, they announced another 10 places to bought.
Nintendo of America boss Reggie Fils-Aimé was similarly positive about the company's presence there next year. Quote, E3 is an outstanding opportunity for us to share new games and experiences with fans and business partners from across the globe. Every year we discuss what will be the best way for us to take advantage of the next E3 show in order to bring smiles to people's faces. And isn't that just so nice? End quote. And then it just talks about Nintendo Directs, which we touched on before. They're kind of... Mindshare is important in the games industry, right? It's why PlayStation and Xbox buy the marketing rights to all of these different games. Mm-hmm. So that when you see a trailer for Battlefront 2, which was the one that sprung to mind from last year when I went to the pictures like 5 times and saw about 16 different trailers for it. And at the end of every trailer, there was PlayStation. Buy it on PlayStation. The Force is strong on PlayStation. Here's the PlayStation thing. Here's Darth Vader. Yeah. Special edition PlayStation 4 that you can buy with Battlefront 2 and stuff. And it's like, you wouldn't even have known that game was bloody coming out on Xbox. So E3 is generally where we get the most concentrated amount of game announcements, and most of these a lot of these game announcements, I don't know if most is the right word, come from the Microsoft stage, the PlayStation stage, and the Nintendo stage. Even when Sony was still at E3 this year saying we're going to focus on 4 core games, which was Spider-Man, Tsushima, Death Stranding, and Last of Us, they still announced things like Resident Evil 2 and Control and Neo 2. And where do all those games go? Like, if you're a third-party studio, you don't have your own press conference at E3. You want to announce some games. All of a sudden, there's no PlayStation conference. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go, guys? Where are you gonna go? There's only one place for you to go, right? You gotta go Microsoft, or do your own thing, which would be nuts. Can you imagine? Like if everyone started doing their own thing.
Revolver?
I mean, yeah, but they're an indie development studio. Like, I can't see like the guys making Neo. I mean, I could. It would be incredible.
Or the PC Gamer Show.
I mean, it had a good year last year, but
sorry,
they're not being in direct competition with the PlayStation.
No,
That's maybe just
yeah.
But Microsoft's going to have an even better press conference next year by default because they're going to have such a bigger potential array of games that they can show off. Like we were surprised when we saw things like Devil May Cry 5.
Well, they've got 7-ish new studios.
Yeah, plus they've got their own stuff to talk about too.
Right.
So when Phil Spencer is talking about, wow, it's gonna be great. Like we've got so much to show you. Like he must now be sitting there thinking, now we can have like whoever we want. Like whoever wants to show something at E3, we can just do it, and we can slap Xbox logos all over it.
Prediction for next year: there'll be 2 Xbox conferences.
They'll do their own press conference, and then they'll do the PlayStation press conference slot. And then they'll be like, here's all the PlayStation, you get the play games that PlayStation would have shown.
There you go, part 1 and part 2.
The Bullseye theme starts playing. Chris Charles comes out with a speedboat. I might have gone a bit overboard with that. But, I mean, this could backfire for Sony quite dramatically next year.
It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
I mean, it could be fine because they have such a commanding sort of, again, mind share that it could just be fine for them. But it's a hell of a risk to take to skip the biggest news cycle of the gaming industry's year.
It is. However, a lot of gamers don't watch E3.
Yeah, but even gamers that just like casually like see things on Twitter or like see news stories shared or occasionally visit Eurogamer or IGN or whatever.
Yeah, but everyone gets to see the trailers and the no trailers come out.
And the trailers that pop up on YouTube, they'll be popping up as ads on YouTube and Twitch videos. They'll be, they all get broken out, and you might see some of them even on TV. And they're all going to be from the Xbox conference.
Are they though? Because
well, not all of them, obviously. If Microsoft announced every game, like they'd be doing a THQ Nordic at that point. But
because what I'm thinking is, it's entirely possible for Sony just to buy up a load of all the advert space and stuff, not actually turn up to the conference, but the stuff that pops up on YouTube and stuff is still going to have their logo on it. And if they
that would be incredibly expensive for them to do that for no real for no benefit, because they'd be doing that to not lose, not necessarily to benefit from it, if that makes sense.
All they'd be doing would be denying Xbox huge time. But the thing is, though, there's YouTube, there's the internet. You can't.
And at the end of the day, any game that wants to be on stage at E3 and has to go to Microsoft won't do that. Like they won't sell that. They won't sell the marketing rights to PlayStation. Like if they want to then be on the Xbox press conference stage.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it would just come down to if you want to be on stage at E3, your options just became a hell of a lot smaller. Means Microsoft can be pickier as well.
But here's the surprise: Xbox, Nintendo's going to be there. They weren't there last year. You know what I mean?
And they're always at E3, so they'll still be doing.
They always have a side thing, but they never have their like conference.
No, they won't be doing a conference. They'll be there though, because again, E3 is
fair one.
Isn't just press conferences. They'll be there with booths and stuff, so people can play
games.
Because that's the other part. Sorry.
No,
go on. I'll let you.
I was just thinking you don't like hear much about them. Like you hear the Nintendo Direct thing, and I forgot the fact that they actually have a floor presence to some degree, even if it's not necessarily in
their floor presence in the last couple of years has generally been focused around one game. So this year, Smash Brothers. Last year was Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Was it? Might have been the year before.
At least one of them was Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Because there was a massive Breath of the Wild thing. That's the other thing as well. It's like game demos, right? Like one of the big things that comes out of E3 every year isn't just the press conferences and the trailers. Those are obviously the biggest things, but then there's like 100 different impressions pieces of all the different games that people have played at E3. So like people who were playing games that like behind closed doors that the public couldn't get to. So like, I remember Horizon Zero Dawn made a massive splash the first year it was announced because there was a massive behind closed doors thing and everybody was talking about that, and there was like hundreds of pieces and videos and everybody, like if you were just looking to see, oh, what's this cool robot dinosaur hunting game about, like it just comes out of the screen at you. But there won't be any of that because nobody will be playing PlayStation games or seeing PlayStation games at E3 because they're not going to be there.
It's going to be interesting.
And then Microsoft's games are going to be there. There are probably a lot of first-party Microsoft studios who just saw the future of crunching on an E3 demo that they weren't planning on making. Just have some demos available for E3 for some games that Microsoft might announce a little bit quicker than they may have done otherwise. It's weird. And like I say, like it might have no net effect on any of this, or it could blow up spectacularly in PlayStation's face right before the kickoff of a new console generation. It's almost like these things are cyclical. One console manufacturer holds a commanding lead, does a bunch of stupid shit, and then the next console manufacturer holds a still commanding lead, does a bunch of stupid shit, and then so on and so forth. But let's continue to talk about console manufacturers. With this story, Diskless Xbox One reportedly set for 2019 with disc-to-digital program. This comes from Matt Brown over at Windows Central, who writes, while Microsoft's long-rumored Xbox Scarlet consoles are expected in 2020, a new report has emerged detailing a diskless Xbox One on the horizon. According to a recent report from Thurrott.com, the next hardware release will ditch its disk drive, pursuing a low retail price of $200 or less. The diskless Xbox One is reportedly based on the existing entry-level Xbox One S, adopting an otherwise similar form factor. It's all about finding ways to reduce the manufacturing costs, welcoming a wider audience into the Xbox ecosystem. The report also details a planned disc-to-digital program launching for the console, allowing existing disc owners to convert select games to digital licenses. Under this, you can trade discs at participating retailers, hoping to ease the conversion for those invested in physical media. All this could launch as early as spring 2019, yet the firm isn't committing to a launch window internally. For those unsure of a digital future, the report concludes with talk of a standard disc-compatible console also set for 2019. This device would further cut costs for disc users, offering the benefits of a traditional distribution. Microsoft is reportedly undecided on whether Xbox Scarlet will feature a disc drive, though is set to make a decision shortly. So this is interesting. Diskless Xbox One S. It's just essentially a cut down on Xbox One S to try and get more people in at the tail end of a console generation, right? When the games are cheaper. Because you can, I haven't had an Xbox. I'll buy an Xbox now because there's a really cheap model and I'll play all the games that I missed. Admittedly, there aren't that many, but Forza Horizon.
Yeah, but like, if you haven't played Tomb Raiders or you haven't played, I don't know, Halo.
Exactly. Like, all you have to do is bundle this with Game Pass, and then it's like, oh, I can play all of these Microsoft exclusives for $7.99 a month, and
So
also
that
get all these
Game
indie
Pass,
games
you get
and
a
this and that and the other.
month's membership with Game Pass when you buy the console, and done.
Yeah. I mean, this is all very much in line with what Microsoft's been doing in the past year, which is just they're just trying to bring as many people in from all the different directions they possibly can into the Xbox family, whether it's a new focus on PC or bringing Game Pass to PC, whether it's Game Pass itself, whether it's All Access, which is the thing we talked about, where you buy an Xbox for a monthly payment, like a mobile phone contract, and it works out cheaper than just buying One X or an Xbox One S. and it comes with Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold for the term, and it's just, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. The disc to digital thing's quite cool.
Yeah.
For people who want to go that route, and they're still like they're obviously going to have to offer a disc based version for people on metered internet connections or people with the internet
I
speed.
suppose so, yeah. If you think about it like that, yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, because the
Not
problem
usually a
is it's like
concern or consequence by
when you have a completely unmetered fiber internet connection, like these kind of things don't crop into your head. But yeah, like there are still people with heavy restrictions on like internet
probably
usage.
downloaded about 200 gigabytes worth of games in the last 24 hours.
Tell me about it. This is the thing, right? Though,
But
like
that's just games from
even
Games Pass, you know. It's just like, oh, well, let's get this, let's have that, and let's have this.
just shopping on game. Damn, XO18 really got you, didn't it?
Well,
Just,
it
I'm
was
gonna have
like,
this
well, I
and
was
this and
looking. It was
this.
like 14 days free on Game Pass. It's like, oh, fuck it. And then there's still like this thing that says £1 for Game Pass. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I'll upgrade it. When it runs out,
I imagine
I'll
what you'll do is,
£1.
yeah, you'll get that, and then you'll be able. At the end, it'll be like, why don't you subscribe for £1? The thing about discs is, like, I get it, right? It's cheaper in this country to buy physical games. Those are all just display boxes, but you know they prove my point. To buy physical games from like Amazon than it is to buy digitally, because the games on the digital storefront are like $59.99, and on Amazon you probably get them for about £10 cheaper, if not more. But like in terms of like internet connections and stuff, it's getting to the point where it's just ridiculous. Like in the past few weeks, I've bought Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Well, I've bought Call of Duty, and I've got Fallout 76 as well, and both of those had like 50 gigabyte day one patches. And it's like, at a certain point, it's like, what's the point of the disc?
We did discuss the fact that the patch for the day one patch for like Black Ops was the game.
And I imagine Fallout was the same thing. Like, it feels like it was just the entire game. All I was doing was putting a disc into the machine so that the machine would go, you own Fallout 76. I'll get the game for you. And then just that's my impression of it downloading.
Thank you for putting your key in the
PlayStation
machine.
4.
Now you can unlock the game so you can play it.
Yeah. That's how PlayStation 4 downloads. That's why it's so slow. Which it is. It's so much slower than Xbox. It's ridiculous. I don't understand.
I'd probably be still downloading if that was the case. And
I know I got it pretty quickly because I was streaming it yesterday. I'll talk about that in a later news story. But it's, what if? Let's do a what if scenario. So, like, tail end of this, they bring out two new Xbox SKUs, both massively reduced in price. One's discless, one's disc based. Let's say in 2020 they announce Xbox Scarlet. There's one machine. It's not disc. It doesn't have a disc drive, and that's it. There's no alternative model with a disc drive. What would your thoughts be as a hypothetical what if scenario?
Me personally, I'd be fine with that because I would say we haven't changed discs to play a game.
All right.
Like I don't know how many games on discs. I've got Halo 5. I've got Overwatch, and I've got Blackout actually on disc. And if I want to play Overwatch, I'm going to have to eject the Blackout disc and stuff in the Overwatch disc. And then if I want to swap out, it's here we go. I gotta fucking get that disc, take it out, put it away, take it out, put it away. No, I wouldn't mind at all. But like I've got more games now actually on the console than I've got on disc. So, and that wasn't hard.
Yeah.
To me personally, it wouldn't make much difference. I'd be like, oh, okay, this is the way we're heading anyway. It's all gonna be. It kind of sucks for those people that don't have decent or don't have an internet connection, or you know.
I would have to buy a Blu-ray player because I use my Xbox as a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, I don't.
You just have to keep both, right? Like, you just have to keep your Xbox One and then.
Do you not think that would sell an accessory as a CD?
I think they might probably have to. Like, the thing is, we're only 5 years removed from the last time Xbox tried something like that. So, I mean, we'll see how again, this is just a what if scenario, but we'll see how the perception may have shifted if they try that again with the whole digital games only thing. Or not only, but, DRM and all that stuff that they were doing. But fun thought exercise. Let's move on. The Game Awards 2018 nominees, before Sony decided to blow up the news cycle, was what I was originally intending we were going to talk about. After last year's, where somebody insisted that we read every single one, I've cherry-picked certain categories for us to read and have discussions about. For some reason, the keyboard has gone black on my... Yep, that's awesome. Anyway, let's talk about the nominations for Game of the Year, which are Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Celeste, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, and Red Dead Redemption 2. There are no surprises in there, apart from the fact that Celeste made it to the actual Game of the Year, the overall Game of the Year, as opposed to just being consigned to the Indie Game of the Year. What's going to win? Well, I'm sure it'll be Red Dead.
Yeah,
do I agree with that?
It's going to be Red Dead no matter what happens.
Yeah, do I agree with that?
It?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I don't agree with it, yeah.
This is going to be my Breath of the Wild all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, it won't be on my Game of the Year list because I haven't played anything. I haven't played anything on that list. So...
I need some new co-hosts. I feel like I say this at the same time every year. It's like, damn, I need some
I've
co-hosts.
played a lot of games this year, dude. It just happens that they're not on that list.
I mean, God of War, Spider-Man, Celeste, awesome games. Monster Hunter World, awesome game. Red Dead Redemption 2, really good game. Just gameplay mechanics that seem to be going backwards in terms of usability, and that's all I'll say on that because people shout at me when I say it's not the best game ever made. And I get flashbacks to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Where I said it wasn't the best game ever, and that was a mistake.
The toxicity in this internet.
Best ongoing game. The nominees are Destiny 2, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Overwatch, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I mostly picked this out because, one, kudos to No Man's Sky for turning it around, but two, there's no PUBG on this list.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Overwatch.
The game that was nominated from Early Access into Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2017 is not in the Best Ongoing Game category at the Game Awards 2018. So it's been a stellar year for them.
Mm-hmm.
How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Fortnite's going to win that, right? It's the most popular game.
Probably.
Yeah.
That
It's going to win
popular.
Yeah.
that popular.
Yeah, like it's nuts. Best game direction, we had A Way Out, Detroit Become Human, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to win this category too, but can we just... Guys, everybody who has to go to the Game Awards to vote for best game direction, vote for A Way Out. Because if you vote for A Way Out, we get Joseph Fares up on stage giving an acceptance speech.
Yeah.
And that will make the entire show.
Yeah.
After last time.
When he got up on stage and shouted, fuck the Oscars.
Fuck the Oscars. Defended EA's shitty, quote, like shitty loot box stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've been really good to him. Didn't defend the loot boxes, just defended EA. And then he was like, hey man, fuck the Oscars. Seriously, fuck the Oscars. It was a thumbnail in a podcast because it was glorious. So please do the right thing. Get Joseph Fares up on stage.
Also, A Way Out was a great, innovative game.
Oh yeah, I mean its game direction is definitely like one of the best of the year easily because of the way it worked.
It will be appearing on my Game of the Year list.
It will probably be appearing on mine. I don't like to talk too much about my Game of the Year list because it's in flux. People keep asking me on Twitch, oh, so what's your Game of the Year? And I'm like, okay, one, I'm making videos about it in January. Two, Smash Brothers isn't out yet. Why are you asking? Like...
Whenever Smash Brothers is mentioned now, I do have to ask, do you think they're okay over there?
Yeah, also they killed the entire roster, so you know.
They killed everyone in the galaxy apart from Kirby.
So you know, it's weird. Best narrative, we've got Detroit Become Human, God of War, Life is Strange 2, Episode 1, need to get in on that. Marvel, Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Detroit Become Human for best narrative. Now, Russell, you played some of this game with us.
I did. I played a chapter or two. Yeah. Watched it being played.
Yeah, I mean, best narrative? Like, it was not a well-written story,
No.
I didn't think.
No, it was a bit like had some twists and blah blah blah, and it was alright. Like it was okay. I think I might have gotten bored if you guys hadn't been there to play it.
Yeah, I think the
Like,
fact that all three of us were sat in a room playing it is
you
basically
know,
what
and,
carried me through the game.
it didn't drag. It didn't, whip me up in a storm and go, "Oh, I'm gonna complete this," and you know.
Yeah, I mean, the things I remember from Detroit Become Human as standout like moments are the funny moments, like the funny things that happened, like when I passed all those QTEs and failed the last one and got run over by a combine harvester.
Yeah, because you fell through the glass or the window or something, and then the combine harvesters automated and it ran over you. Yeah.
Or minor spoiler alert for Detroit Become Human, or the part where we gave you the controller and you were talking. There's Connor talking to Hank, and you were like, "I'm going to talk about his son." I was like, "Don't talk about his son. He's going to shoot you in the face." And then you talked about his son and he shot you in the face. And spoiler.
Didn't come and help us, and at the end.
Yeah, it was all a whole thing. The fact that one episode of an episodic game got nominated is quite interesting to me as well. Life is Strange Episode 1. Because Life is Strange 2 obviously isn't complete. The first episode is out, but interesting that it's been nominated. Best Art Direction. I don't know why I actually included this because I have nothing to say about any of this. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Octopath Traveler, Red Dead Redemption 2, Return of the Obra Dinn. Yeah, those are all pretty games.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to win, probably, because it's all anyone's talking about in the industry. But
yeah,
God of War also looks amazing. Best Score / Music: Celeste, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, Octopath Traveler, and Red Dead Redemption 2. This is the one I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 should win. Like, this is the one I would vote for, probably. But
does that like classic Western sound?
Like, it's proper, like full on, like Western motifs and themes and music. It's really, really good.
Cool.
Like,
see, that's what you want in a game, that depicting something that you're actually playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Celeste's got a great soundtrack.
I'm sure it has.
Got a great soundtrack. Spider-Man's is good. I'm not sure I would go.
Feel like you're in.
Yeah.
In
like
time zone.
I haven't played Ni no Kuni 2, but like Spider-Man's is a weird one for me because it's like I didn't think it was a standout. It was fine for what it was, but Spider-Man excelled in other ways. Best performance: Brian Deschart as Connor from Detroit Become Human, the only character we actually gave a shit about. Christopher Judge as Kratos from God of War. Melisanthe Mahout as Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. And Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker from Marvel's Spider-Man. Yeah, I agree to whoever just highlighted Christopher Judge's Kratos from God of War. Yes, I can see everything that you're doing live on this iPad.
I see.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. Like Chris Judge's Kratos. Like Kratos was not a character in the previous God of War so much as he was just an avatar of rage. Like he was just something you controlled as the player to rip gods apart. And in the new God of War, he's an actual character with like pathos and a backstory, and you actually feel for him. And one of the reasons that that's true is because Chris Judge does such a fucking amazing job, like playing him in God of War. Like the voice acting is unreal.
Yeah, I've seen some bits and bods on trailers and from people playing it on YouTube and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, he's mid voice, well, he just fits perfectly. Fits perfectly for that character.
100%. Like. They're all good nominations.
And it'd be amazing to him up on stage receiving his.
It would be good, yeah. Like Chris Judge just rocks up on stage in probably like some ridiculous Hawaiian shirt because that's what he does, and he's just Chris Judging it all over the place. Because as soon as he gets to the microphone, you know he's just going to shout "Boy," because that's the thing. God of War.
Thank you, boy.
Yeah. But yeah, like they're all good nominations. Like again, like Connor was the only character I gave a shit about. Detroit. Cassandra is Bear, and Peter Parker as Spider-Man like did a really good job. I just think Chris Judge also did a really good job. Gonna skip that one and go straight to best independent games. Celeste, Dead Cells, Into the Breach, The Return of the Obra Dinn, The Messenger. This category reminded me that indie games have been really fucking good this year, guys.
Yeah. I have played Dead Cells and can agree. I've got no idea the end like you did.
Well, I mean, and I finished a run, like, because you get boss cells, so you level up the difficulty like 3 times to finish the game. And I've only ever finished the first difficulty setting.
Defeat the concierge once. I haven't picked it up in ages.
But no, I mean, like, for me, Dead Cells is head and shoulders above all of those games, but all of those games are excellent. Celeste is fantastic. Obra Dinn, I've just played it, just finished it. It's fantastic. The Messenger is really good. Into the Breach is really good. Hell yeah. Looking forward to the Game Awards. I'm pumped. I think it's going to be a good show. I hope they somehow manage to bring back both the orchestra and get the guy whose name is I've totally forgotten and I totally shouldn't have, to do the Doom performance again.
Is it Mark something?
Oh, fuck. Don't make me do this because I've completely and utterly lost it.
Lost it. No.
Lost it. Instead, I'm gonna move quite far down these show notes.
Hope so.
Yeah.
To Battlefield 1 players stop shooting each other to commemorate Armistice Day. This is from Vicky Blake over at Eurogamer, who writes, in commemoration of the end of World War I, Battlefield 1 players stopped shooting each other on the 11th hour on Armistice Day. Quote, this is the 100-year anniversary of the end of World War I. On the 11th hour, we stopped fighting. Battlefield 1 players stopped shooting each other to commemorate the end of World War I. That was from DICE's Jan David Hassel. A video celebrating the moment is available on Reddit. Quote, wow, now that is something I'd never believe would happen in an online game until I saw this, end quote, said one commenter. Yeah, I agree. I would never in a million years have thought that would happen in an online video game. But I'm glad it did.
Yeah, in the all the games, it would be Battlefield because it's a celebration of World War I, where we get Armistice Day from.
Yeah. It's like Battlefield, like for all of its, like, I don't know anything about the community, so I'm not going to speak to the community of players that played. But from all it's like, it's an online first-person shooter. Where you run around and you're shooting everybody, and it's like it's just kind of that kind of standard thing. It in terms of the game itself, it's kind of really respectful of World War One, like the same way that what I've played Battlefield 5 is very respectful of World War Two. So it's really cool, and yeah, if any game was going to get players to stop shooting on the 11th hour on Armistice Day, it would probably be Battlefield.
Yeah. Going back a moment, it was Mick Gordon, not Mark.
Mick Gordon, thank you.
I had the soundtrack.
Yes. I also listen regularly to the soundtrack on Google Play Music. It's fucking awesome.
It's great on the foggy morning for waking yourself up, I'll tell you.
Oh, fucking hell yeah. Like, if you want to get somewhere and you're walking, like, you just stick that soundtrack on and you just fucking propel yourself forward. Like, it's crazy. Like, you just suddenly, like, you find, like, an extra, like, 6 gears as you're moving somehow. Murder on your feet afterwards, though.
Only if you're trying to move like the guy in Doom.
Jesus, could you imagine? Anyway, let's move on. Valve paid $20,000 to a hacker who discovered critical Steam security flaw. This is from Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer. He writes, security researcher Artem Moskowski recently discovered a flaw in Steam that enabled unscrupulous users with access to the developer portal to generate unlimited game keys. But rather than reward himself with a copy of every game on the platform or generating thousands of Crusader Kings 2 keys to unload through resellers, he brought the problem to Valve's attention and was rewarded with $20,000 for his troubles. Quote, the bug was discovered randomly during the exploration of the functionality of a web application, Moskowski told the Register. It could have been used by any attacker who had access to the portal. To exploit the vulnerability, it was necessary to make only one request. I managed to bypass the verification of ownership of the game by changing only one parameter. After that, I could enter any ID into another parameter and get any set of keys. To demonstrate the severity of the issue, Moskowski said he entered a random string into a request at one point and ended up with 36,000 activation keys for Portal 2. A full retail price, that's $360,000 worth of game keys. offload them at a 95% discount, and he's still making serious book for minimal effort, which is presumably why Valve rewarded him so handsomely for the find. Damn. Like, one random request, and then later, and you have 36,000 Portal 2 keys. I have, like, 2 in my inventory, and I thought that was a lot. I mean, it's kind of cool that he came out. He found this bug. He could have given himself anything he wanted on Steam.
Yeah.
And instead, he just kind of went to Steam and went, I broke it. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry. And while Valve is not generally heavily praised on this show, good on them for giving him a reward for finding that that exploit. Yeah, it's been a slow news week, okay? Like, would you have done that?
It's a slow news week. We'll praise Valve.
Would you have? Be honest now. If you had found a way to generate Steam keys.
Yeah, I probably would have told them, but not until after I'd gotten something I want. Maybe, I'll have this, I'll have that, and then I'll tell them.
He's honest. You got to give him that.
Because
I don't think I'm smart enough to even figure out how that works, let alone
if by chance, which obviously eventually someone would figure out, like, hold on a second, where's all these extra game keys coming from? That it came back to you eventually, you'd be absolutely screwed. Whereas,
you'd be done, right?
Yeah, you'd be done. You'd be paying hefty fines, at the very least, if not necessarily going to prison. But if you get a couple and, I was testing it and I made one and, see if
I wanted to see if it would work, so I activated it on my Steam library.
And it worked.
And then I wanted to see if I could duplicate the process, because that's
that's what you do, right? You gotta confirm that something's broken, you gotta do it more than once.
And then I accidentally activated one of every game on Steam, and now it's all tight in my library. Oops, sorry. Anyway.
But yeah, I would totally get a couple of games that are really cool looking that I want to play and possibly cost stupid amount of money. And then, I would go, this is broke. See, I managed to get this and I managed to get that. And here's the documented proof of it. And then there you go.
But why did you get all the Dead or Alive 5 DLC? Because I could, damn it. I wanted to see if it was worth $1,000.
This is reminding me of the first time we covered the PC gaming show.
Imagine.
Where
they had the thing where someone sat down and then they would just add stuff to their basket. Like,
had a certain amount of time to add as much as possible to their Steam account basket.
Just go for all the bundles. Bam, 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 bam.
I do seem to remember that one of the first things to put in the basket was Doom.
It was pre-orders, wasn't it? Because those were the most expensive games on Steam. So people are adding the one I remember, she was adding pre-orders to a basket because they were all like 50, 60 quid. Or dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you just go and you find all these weird games with like thousands upon thousands of dollars of DLC and just add.
Dead or Alive.
Ooh, imagine it. I'll have that, please.
Dead or Alive or DC.
Because that's the baseline. That's the foundation you use to win, and then you just start adding stuff that you want.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Nintendo ROM site lawsuit results in $12 million judgment. This is from Joe Scrabbles, over at IGN, who writes, Nintendo has been awarded $12,230,000 by an Arizona judge following its lawsuit against 2 ROM hosting sites. Back in July, Nintendo issued lawsuits to Love Retro and Love ROMs, both run by the same married couple, Jacob and Christian Matthias. The couple has since taken down both sites and entered settlement negotiations with Nintendo to avoid a legal battle. Torrent Freak now reports that the 2 sides have agreed to a consent judgment. Unsigned judgment documents read, Plaintiff is hereby awarded judgment against all defendants jointly and severally in the amount of $12,230,000. The couple has apparently also agreed to a permanent injunction preventing them from breaching Nintendo copyright again, handing over ownership of both sites to the developer, and handing over all Nintendo games and emulators. The high value of the judgment may be intended as a deterrent to other ROM hosting sites. Previous settlements of this kind have resulted in behind closed doors settlements involving lower payouts, although it's by no means clear if that's true in this case. That's a fucking lot of money.
Yeah.
$12 million for running an emulator. site and host. I imagine hosting ROMs as well.
Mm.
Like, as someone who recently was like decided, I want to get like into streaming some older games that I want to replay and finish, or games that I never played and want to try them out and finish them. I went very quickly after reading this news story from, hey, I'll research some emulators, to, hey, I think I've still got a PlayStation 2 in the loft. Because fuck that. Like, Jesus.
It's different though. They own the websites where you could get emulators from. You're just
Still.
user of.
It's different from downloading a game to downloading and sharing it.
It's providing all the equipment.
I mean, I do know that, but again, when you're talking like $12 million for running the site, like $12 million, like even a percentage of that would be like, my life is ruined. All because I wanted to play Parasite Eve 2 on Twitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, speaking of like lives, I mean, Jesus, these people are fucked. Like, if they have to actually pay this amount of money,
because they'll just go into like a bankruptcy. Done. Can't pay.
I mean, yeah,
that's it. Like, their lives will be ruined for a couple of years while they can't get finance or anything, and then after that, it'll go back to normal. Although they'll still have that sort of like on their record.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll ever be allowed to buy a Nintendo like console or product again.
Oh yeah, of course you can.
It just says that they've got everything they've got. It doesn't say they're banned from holding like any Nintendo since.
Which means that they're banned from holding any licensed items for sale, probably, that belong to Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely banned from that. I wonder. I don't know. I wonder how they came up with $12 million. Like, I wonder how that was the figure that was settled upon. Because I mean, even the story that we read from IGN notes that's really high.
Yeah,
maybe for something like this.
Maybe it's based off the amount of games that were emulated and their original cost calculated in today's day.
16. Oh my god, with inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Imagine how many people had a problem with the thing, had to re-download the game off the website.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and then there's all the games that you just you can't get anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because there's tons of games that were on NES and SNES, especially, that you just can't buy them anymore.
They might charge for hardware as well, like the original cost for like a Nintendo GameCube or like the NES.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is a fascinating question just in general, because from another perspective, which is like we found out recently, I know this isn't in the notes, it's not really newsworthy for this podcast, but I'll mention it because it's relevant. The PlayStation Classic is literally an emulation box, and it's running, I mean, all classic consoles are, but it's literally running PCSX, which is an open source PlayStation emulator. So it's kind of interesting to see two different approaches, whereas Nintendo's just doing its Nintendo thing and smashing emulation sites to pieces. PlayStation's kind of gone, we're just going to borrow that, and we're going to put it in this nice PlayStation-shaped console and put a disappointing suite of games on it. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
That list is pretty bad.
I imagine it's from sounds as piss poor.
Yeah.
It's not great. Like,
the
PlayStation 1's library.
Has it got Resident Evil 2 on there?
I doubt it.
No.
I think it does have Resident Evil, but
maybe the first one.
No.
Given that there's a fucking remake of the second one coming out in like 2 months,
Yeah.
I don't think it's got the second game on it.
Is it just for like PlayStation 1 games, or is it for?
Yeah, it's just a PlayStation 1 classic. But no, I mean the thing of like
couldn't even put
one
Resident
company
Evil
actually
Biohazard on there.
Like one company actually using an open source emulator.
Yeah.
Is quite interesting, whereas another one has just gone nah.
Nah, you can't have our Nintendo games.
Yeah, that's not a full list. Thanks, game.
I was just looking at this, but I'm trying to see if I found.
Yeah, there's Resident Evil Director's Cut, which makes no fucking sense. Right? Okay, rant time. This is a tangent. We do tangents from time to time on this podcast, and this is another one. Why on earth, God's green motherfucking earth, would you release a classic retro PlayStation with 20 games? Right, bearing in mind how big the PlayStation 1 library was, and you put on that a game that was remade and is currently being sold on every platform known to mankind but then miss off something like Resident Evil 3, which hasn't been remade and hasn't been ported, and you can't get it anywhere. Which, why? Why? I don't want to play Resident Evil Director's Cut. I'll play the remake. Thanks very much. But I will totally play Resident Evil 3 because I fucking like. This is the one classic mini console that they could have actually sold me, because you guys know the PlayStation 1 is my favorite console of all time.
Oh, it's good.
Like, and if
It's got Final Fantasy 7 on there for you.
fantastic, I've got that on Steam.
Yes, solid.
I mean, I would probably play it. All right, here we go.
Revelation Persona.
Battle Arena Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy 7, Grand Theft Auto Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Revelations Persona, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. It's not a terrible list, but when you think to the games that came out on PlayStation 1, like Grandia, Resident Evil 3, Silent Hill, Bushido Blade, the Alien Trilogy, Command and Conquer, like, and those are just ones I'm pulling out of thin air.
Yeah.
And then they're like, here's the list, and everyone's disappointed, and they're surprised.
Maybe
I get it.
The rights to Command and Conquer because EA is making their own massive version of it.
They have to get rights, and they have to get licenses, and they'll have to like do certain things. But again, it's like they're re-releasing every fucking Final Fantasy game on all the different consoles except Final Fantasy 8. Why not just stick Final Fantasy 8 on the PlayStation Classic? It's more enticing if it's games that I can't play very, very easily. And there are a few games on that list where it's like, I can play that.
Yeah,
I can play that right now.
Oddworld, for example, you can play that on Steam. They did a remastered version of it. There was already one version out, but then they made a proper, better version because the one that originally had didn't really get glitched.
I mean, it's like I say, like, I love Silent Hill. I would fucking kill. Like, if the PlayStation Classic Mini had Silent Hill on it, I'd buy it.
You want to buy my copy of Silent Hill?
I may do, because, like I said, I've gone from emulation to fishing a PlayStation out of the loft and hoping it still works, because my capture card's got an S-Video port on it. Like, there's games I've never even heard of, like Mr. Driller.
No, I never heard of that.
Mr. Driller. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, so you couldn't think to get Super Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or...
Imagine it, yeah.
Like, the fighting game you went with was Tekken 3, which admittedly is not a terrible game. Where the fuck? Gran Turismo? No? Didn't feel like putting Gran Turismo
Soul
on.
Calibur, wasn't that originally on the
Soul Blade
Soul
was
Blade
on the
was the first
PlayStation.
one, yes. You know.
Mental.
Yeah.
Mental. So anyway, that's my rant on the
Right over.
PlayStation
Yep,
Classic Library.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been holding that in for a while. Like, a few weeks at this point. Just like, it's such a stupid fucking list. Anyway, we get to the news story that I know Russell definitely wants to talk about. Command and Conquer and Red Alert Remastered announced. This is from Imran Khan over at Game Informer, who writes, last month EA announced an intention to bring Command and Conquer... You know what? I'm not even going to bother reading it. Dude, there's a bunch of ex-Westwood devs who are making a remaster of Command and Conquer Red Alert.
With all expansions.
With all the DLC. The expansions, because there was no such thing as DLC back then.
Yeah.
Discuss.
Revenge?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna...
What to? I can't wait.
Just gonna sit back and let you...
The question is, what platforms are they going to be released on?
PC, PS4, Xbox One. Guaranteed.
Well,
It won't say on the news story because they only just announced it, but that
well,
will
brilliant, because I've been wanting to play Red Alert for fucking ages and ages, but you can't get a good screen size.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I got one ages ago. I could get it to play, but I couldn't get any sound.
The problem I had was I could get it to play, but it was atrocious to look at because of the fact that it was like square boxy on the screen. You got these black bars on the side because it's not designed for that size resolution.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So I'm looking forward to that. I will get the remastered Command and Conquer and Red Alert.
Yeah, I mean, I have fond memories of playing Command and Conquer on my Sega Saturn.
I
I had
just think
fond memories of sitting next to you while you were playing
it'll
Command and
be
Conquer.
probably relatively cheap being a remaster. I can't see them having a massive price on them. Maybe only because if they're a standard games price, only because they've got all the DLC.
I was
But
going to say, just look at Warcraft 3 Remastered. It's like one price. I mean, you're getting both like
Yeah, of
the
course it
game
is.
and the
It's Activision
expansion.
Blizzard.
yeah, but
Activision Blizzard wouldn't miss an opportunity to
if
sell
it's
a
a
game at full
relatively
price.
good price, I might buy it and give away some gifts, because then have like a 3-way battle or a 4-way battle. You know what I mean?
No, I refuse. I remember our system link battles.
Yeah, but we get Keith
Russell
involved.
is legendarily good
We
at
get
Command
Keith
and
involved.
Conquer.
Get Keith's brother involved. We'll have two teams, 2v2. Will it be mint?
No, we'll have 3v1 and we'll all probably still lose.
Ah, man.
That's what'll actually
No.
happen. You'll carry whoever's on your team until we decide we're all going to fight you, and then we'll all fight you, and you'll still win. Okay, we got a couple of linked news stories back to back. THQ Nordic buys Wreckfest dev Bugbear and Goat Simulator dev Coffee Stain. This is from Robert Purchase over at Eurogamer, who writes, "What has THQ Nordic brought today?" Now, that question is so on point, it hurts. I'd love to go back through all of the show notes for all of the podcasts and figure out how many fucking times have we done this. We've done this dance with how many times THQ Nordic has bought a fucking game studio. It's insane at this point how many game studios they own.
Microsoft at the moment.
Microsoft is jealous of them. Anyway, today it's Wreckfest developer Bugbear and Goat Simulator studio Coffee Stain. Bugbear is a small Finnish studio with a penchant for car crashes. You know it for the Flat Out series, Ridge Racer Unbound, and most recently Wreckfest. Coffee Stain, meanwhile, is Swedish and both a developer and publisher of games. We know it for the slapstick Goat Simulator, but it's also publishing co-op mining game Deep Rock Galactic, and I'm not reading the rest of that. And it's making its own ambitious-looking factory building and planet exploration game, Satisfactory.
I do like the look of that game.
So, to answer the original question of, holy shit, how many fucking publishers has this bought and what does this mean? Here's the second news story. THQ Nordic has 35 unannounced games in development. This is from Gabe Gawen over at IGN, who writes, gaming publisher THQ Nordic has several big-name titles on the way, including Darksiders 3 and Metro Exodus, but the company hasn't played its whole hand just yet. In fact, it has 35 unannounced games currently in development. During a Q3 financial report on November 14th, THQ Nordic founder and CEO Lars Wingefors shared that 55 total games were being produced by the end of the most recent quarter, of which only 20 have been revealed thus far. THQ Nordic, which was previously called Nordic Games, has grown in recent years after acquiring the rights to series like Red Faction and Darksiders. The company acquired publisher Deep Silver last year, which brought franchises Saints Row, Metro, Dead Island, and Homefront along with it. Coincidentally, Metro, Homefront, and Saints Row began as a series owned by the original THQ, from which THQ Nordic got its new name in 2016. At that time, only 13 unannounced games were in development. So, while it's 35 unannounced games in development, there are 20 announced games in development. THQ Nordic, as a publisher, is developing 55 games.
Yeah.
55 games. There can't be another publisher in the world that's developing that many games right now.
I'm just wondering if they're aiming to corner the market in the sort of the in-between generations lull. If people are making stuff for the new generation, not so much the current generation, if they're just going to try and like flood the market with their games, or are they just trying to expand and be one of the world's top publishers?
Maybe they're trying to
It's weird.
top publishers, but at the very least, like, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So they probably got games like in various stages of development.
Oh, definitely.
So,
there's a
like,
reason those 35 games aren't announced.
Yeah, exactly. We've got 20 games that we know about and being made. Well, maybe 7, 6, 7, 8, whatever come out next year. Another 10 come out the year following. Then another 10 come after that, because it's 3 years down the line and they've actually made a game that time. Who knows?
I remember all the games I know that they're actually
like, I was just
in development. Darksiders 3 is coming out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Biomutant, that's the Kung Fu anthropomorphic animals game. That was that's coming out next year. So is Metro Exodus, which is oh, here we go. That's 2019. Desperados 3, Generation Zero, Scarf, Sphinx in the Curse Mummy, Wreckfest, The Guild 3, and then there's some Untitled games.
So some Untitled games, how many?
There's like Untitled Expeditions game, Untitled Monster Jam game.
So like that's about 10. What you
Game
need
called
there?
Scarf.
Okay, that's 11.
Equinox, Deep Descent, Book of Unwritten Tales 2, The
12,
Raven
13,
Remastered.
14.
Like, yeah.
15. So you're getting up towards 20 then by
You're
the
getting
end
up
of next
towards
year.
the 20 that have
Yeah.
been announced.
So from now until the end of next year, you're looking at 20 games. And I'd imagine the year after
20
that,
games from one
thereabouts.
publisher.
Yeah. And then the year after that, you're looking at another 10. And then you're looking at the year after that, possibly another 10. But by then, the games will have finished and they'll have already started working on the next games, right? So
What's scarily impressive about it as well is it's not just indie games. Like, they're not just making indie games. They are making some. And then there's also some games that are, well, Metro,
yeah,
Exodus,
Exodus, yeah.
like, which is AAA, like, in terms of, like, its scope and its gameplay, and it's just all over the map as well, in terms of, like, it's everything from high-quality AAA to indie game. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
We could do with rebooting Red Faction, like, that would be meant if they did that.
Well, I mean, hey, 35 unannounced games, like,
yeah,
Red Faction's quite likely to be one of them. Like, I don't see THQ Nordic releasing too many new IPs in the next 10 years, based off of this. Didn't THQ Nordic also get the rights to Kingdoms of Amalur?
Yes.
Or am I misremembering? Yes, they did, yeah.
Yes, they did. I remember there's some legal thing wrapping around it, but I can't remember exactly what it is.
EA has to sign off on a remaster of the
Yes, they
original
can't do a
game,
remaster unless EA signs off.
Yeah, because EA published it originally. Okay, that's mental. It is. It's crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's terrible. I'm saying that's just crazy in a good way, I guess. Anyway, let's move on. The United States Army is starting its own esports team. This is from Fraser Brown over at PC Gamer, who writes, the US Army is hoping that esports, of all things, will encourage more young Americans to consider a career in the armed forces. It's putting together its own esports team as part of the marketing initiative, sending them to tournaments where they can drum up awareness and make the Army seem more relatable.
Cool.
During a Reddit AMA last week, the Army invited veterans, reservists, and active members to sign up to be involved, though it clarifies that members of the actual esports team would need to have time left in the Army. Quote, it is an all-Army team, essentially, end quote. There will be other opportunities for veterans, and there's also a form for people not in the Army linked in the AMA. Beta testing Army apps and training and simulation software is also mentioned as part of the team's responsibilities. An Army esports Twitter was also set up, but it seems to have been suspended.
That
I don't know
bit
why.
testing Army apps and training simulation software sounds pretty cool. Like,
Does this not just strike
it
you
could be
as the
pretty
Steve
shit though if
Buscemi?
it's a crap app, but it could be cool.
I mean, yeah.
But
But does this not strike you as the Steve Buscemi meme again? How do you do, fellow kids? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
they'll be relatively most of them will be like in like early 30s, early 20s.
yeah, definitely.
Not many in the late 40s. It might depend on when you retire out of the army, sort of thing. Because it says obviously you need to have time left in the army, which I can only think
It's
of
an
as-
all-army esports team, so you have to actually be in the army to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so but the thing is to make it worthwhile, you're gonna need a couple of years at least.
Imagine getting out of boot camp though, and just being like, "Well, where are you getting shipped off to? I'm getting shipped to
Esports.
Kandahar. I'm getting shipped to Iraq." It's like, I'm heading to Evo. Wait, what?
Evo, where's that?
It's in America somewhere. I'm going to play Street Fighter.
To be
I
honest,
need to pay more attention to the news.
yeah, to be honest, they did just like send what 50,000 troops to the border with Texas and put them in 10 cities. So
It's a very strange news story. I never like the United States Army is making an esports team. Have T minus how many years until we see them show up in the Overwatch League?
even better, next month we announced that both the Navy and Air Force have launched the same thing, and they have their own grid match
have their
between
own
Marines
league.
and the Army Rangers.
I mean, they may want to make themselves seem more relatable. They all just like smack talk each other on Twitter, and yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it. So you might be thinking at this point, if you're watching the podcast, oh, that's the strange news story. That means we're at the end of the end of the show. Well, you would be wrong. Fallout 76 power armor glitch turns players into naked monsters. This is from Patricia Hernandez over at Polygon, who writes, not only are Bethesda games notorious for being glitchy, the company warned fans that players could expect spectacular bugs in Fallout 76, most players will probably encounter some low-level jank, but some unlucky Vaultors are encountering a specific hiccup that either ruins or enhances one of Fallout's central gameplay mechanics, depending on how you look at it. Players are reporting that souped-up power armor, equipping or storing it, will sometimes result in a bizarre issue where the character's limbs will elongate and disfigure. Many fans say that when the glitch is active, they are completely immobile. Others are stripped entirely of their clothes, save for high-waisted underwear. And then the rest of the article, I summed it up as cue dozens of tweets about being stuck naked in power armor. Fallout 76 is having a great time.
Yeah, it's typical.
There wouldn't be a Bethesda launch without that.
I mean, this is on another level, right? So I was talking to someone about a specific bug that I had. I didn't get the naked monster glitch, unfortunately. But that's only because I didn't find any power armor. So I was streaming it yesterday. And the frame rate's atrocious. Like, if more than 2 enemies are attacking me at a time, it dips, and then that gets exponentially lower as more enemies attack me. So when I'm being swarmed by, like,
terrible,
a bunch of feral ghouls, it's just
worse.
Unplayable.
Yeah.
But I was in a building. I decided I was sick of being led around doing all these quests. I'm going to go to this building. There's no quest marker on it. I'm just going to explore it. So I went inside. And inside, the frame rate wasn't great. Inside. Outside,
problem.
Outside, it's fine. Inside, not good. So there's problems. So I'm wandering around this building. I need to see if you guys can explain what happened to me. And I'm just exploring, killing some ghouls here and there. And I found a workbench. Now, when you click on a workbench to use it, the game goes out into a third-person view. So you can see yourself working on the workbench because you've got a custom character, you get to see it. When the camera zoomed out, my character had no colour.
What do you mean it was like black?
She was just shades of grey.
Oh, okay, shades of grey. Okay.
Mostly looked a bit like Mr. Negative.
Was everything else in colour though? What was the whole thing?
Well, that's the thing. Yes, everything around me was in colour. So I was like, what the fuck just happened? Why has this fucking happened? Alright, there's a glitch in the book, no problem. Gonna keep playing anyway. So playing in first person mode, I've got my gun. I could see that my hands don't have any colour. And as I'm exploring, I hear a noise, and I turn around, and a bunch of the environmental objects behind me now don't have colour. And I'm like, wow, I'm really not paying attention to this game, because I did not notice that this is a problem in the game world, not just with my character. This is fucking weird. What the fuck's going on? I keep going. Eventually, I look across at something, and if you imagine there's like 3 things. Like, let's say it's Keith's room. And his bed's fine, and his desk's fine, but his wardrobe doesn't have any colour. And then I turn away, and then I look back, and now not only does his wardrobe not have colour, but now his bed doesn't have colour. And it's spreading. How does a game break in such a way that this is a thing? Go on.
One of which is we're in an episode of Doctor Who.
I was definitely not in an episode of Doctor Who.
Did you interact with either of the objects?
I did not.
Secondly, you've contracted the chromatic problem from Theme Hospital, where you're leaching the colour, your own colour has been leached out, and it's contagious now.
Fair enough.
That's my second.
Plausible.
The third one is you've accidentally angered one of the Elder Gods.
I mean, it was fine. I left the building because I just couldn't take the frame rate anymore, and went on my merry way, and my colour returned, but I mean, this is a full-price, brand-new released game. It's not in early access. It's not in game preview. It's
bad, isn't it?
It's broke. It's broken.
Bad.
And going back to a point you made when we were talking about E3, way at the top of the show as well, it's like, I knew this was going to happen. I said last week that the bugs are going to be amazing, and I've got front row seats to the shit show. That's literally how I closed out the podcast last week. But how many people just bought Fallout 76 going, sweet, a new Fallout, and didn't know that this big game was going to be broken as shit? And by broken as shit, I mean beyond the bugs of a Bethesda game, and we're into naked, elongated power armor monsters, and the color is being leached from the world. Because that's a new one on me.
Yeah. Well, the new game, new bugs. I did speak to someone yesterday who was excited for a new Fallout game, disappointed that it was online.
Online, yep.
Yeah. And hasn't started because I want to finish their last 3 optional quests in Red Dead, and I'm like, well, hopefully in my head, hopefully the bugs will be fixed by the time you start. I'd imagine.
Just so you know, Russ, you're an anonymous dingo, according to your cursor that keeps moving around the.
Am I?
The dock, yeah, it gives everyone an animal.
It says you're a sheep.
Yeah. Actually, that could be Keith, because I'm pretty sure I should be. Yeah, that's Keith.
Oh no, that's Keith. Yeah, Keith's a sheep.
Just sorry, I just saw you clicking around. I thought I'd mention it. Sorry.
Wake up, sheeple.
But yeah, no, like a lot of people probably don't know that this is an online only game. It's fucking weird as well. Like I've had 2 interactions with players, so everyone has 24 players in their instance.
Yeah.
The first guy I found started shooting at me. Didn't do any damage because I wasn't high enough level to even initiate combat, so I didn't run into the thing of taking minuscule amounts of damage. Second guy is dressed all in an Uncle Sam costume and doesn't do anything except follow me.
Weird.
It's just behind me for ages. It's fucking creepy as shit. And I'll just turn around and he'll just be stood there. And I'm like, what's happening right now?
Can you set like a follow option on people?
This isn't how you team up with people.
Do you reckon that person is sitting there going, how on earth do I speak to someone else? And he's following around for ages trying to figure out how to speak to them.
Was he dressed in the all red, white, and blue? Like,
full on Uncle Sam hat.
Nice.
Outfit. Crazy. Yeah. The online kind of ruins any immersion that the game might end up having because players are players, not NPCs.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So they do player-like things like shoot at you or follow you around in an Uncle Sam costume, and it's like, I'm not getting into this. But anyway, we're still not done. One last funny, crazy news story, which made me smile. McDonald's Canada confirms Ronald will not be a fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This is from at least Favis over Game Informer, who writes, the internet is a weird place. With rumours spreading about the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, one fan decided to ask McDonald's Canada about the inclusion of a certain famous clown mascot. Why not, right? McDonald's Canada promptly tweeted back a response confirming that there are no current plans to bring Ronald McDonald to the upcoming game. The tweet reads, although seeing Ronald McDonald battle other characters in Smash Bros. Would be pretty neat, he will not be making an appearance in the new game as of right now. Right now.
Yeah.
Do you think there's like some marketing guys over at McDonald's?
We need to do this.
We need to do this.
We can have a tie-in. Happy Meal amiibos.
There's always like Happy Meals with like Mario characters and Nintendo stuff. So
so you can have different ones. You can have Ronald McDonald one week. Next week is the Hamburglar. Whatever.
Imagine.
No, it'd be Ronald McDonald summoning the
yeah, because like they'd be Hamburglar would be like an assist trophy or a shadow fighter. But could you imagine if we got Ronald McDonald in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before we got Waluigi? I think the internet would melt.
If we're going for like a shadow thing for Ronald McDonald, surely it would be it.
No, I don't think. Well, I mean, it would, but I don't think Nintendo would sign off on that. All right, we've got games coming out this week. Pretty easy. There are 2. Battlefield 5 is coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on November 20th, and Warframe is coming out on Switch on November 20th.
I'm only interested in Battlefield 5, but I won't be buying it until March next year. If I do get it.
Battle Royale. Told you that would happen. You can try it if you want. If you've got EA access for like $3.99, you can have a 10-hour trial of the game.
Yeah, but there's no Battle Royale in it.
It's actually quite fun, but yeah, I get it. If you don't like if you like Battle Royale and you don't want it, fine, whatever. Just get it. It's free. Like all the content updates are free for the game, so you can just get it in March when Firestorm comes out.
Well, that's it. If I just get it in March, and then it'll be a whole new experience, and I'll have more to experience.
True. You still have all the war. It's like all the war stories are still going to be there. The multiplayer is still going to be there.
And it means I can
the extra stuff is still going to be there.
Duty, so
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I argued the
juggle
same
it.
thing
Like
when we were talking about the fact that it wasn't coming out in March back on the podcast a few weeks ago. I was like, people are just going to wait, which isn't going to do well for Battlefield sales, but that's what they wanted to do. They did want to launch the full game in March.
Might get cheaper. Who knows?
Probably
not.
No, doubt it. It'll probably get more expensive when Firestorm comes out, like back to full price when Firestorm comes out.
I'll buy it before it comes out.
Just buy it right before.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for episode 136 of the Words About Gamescast. No uncontrollable penis growth stories this week. But we did get naked power armor monsters. That's all good. I'm looking forward to seeing what incredibly disturbing bug we find in next week for a game that we can talk about. It'll probably be in Fallout 76. Thanks for joining me, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. See you all next week. Same time, same place. Roughly.
Sooner than that. But yep.
Bye.
Bye.